10 days and I'm finally getting around to reviewing The Expendables 2. That's right, the new Sylvester Stallone movie, which came out on August 19th and was directed by Simon West. Now, Simon West is pretty much well known for Con Air. I think that was his biggest movie, which was a good movie. And Sylvester Stallone decided to not direct this one so that he could focus more on the acting and I'm guessing, the script of the movie. Now, I do know that Stallone actually did kind of co-direct the movie, gave his insights or whatnot, but Simon West directed it. I guess the first thought that most people have is, was the movie better than the first Expendables? Personally, I think it was. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I did think it was a lot better than the first movie. Now, let me backtrack a little bit. When I reviewed the first Expendables, I gave it an 8 out of 10. My two problems with the Expendables was that there was too much shaky cam, where a lot of times in that movie the fight scenes were filmed very close and the camera was shaking, so you really couldn't see exactly what was going on. My other complaint was some of the CGI effects. I thought in some of the scenes it was bad enough to kind of take you out of the scene, which I didn't like. And those were my two problems with the first Expendables movie. The Expendables 2, I will say, I thought they took care of that completely. There is some CGI in the movie, and I had no problem with it. I thought it looked fine. There was never a time where I was like, okay, wow, that looked really fake. The other thing is the shaky cam. It was pretty much eliminated, which I loved, because every action scene in this movie, you could tell exactly what was going on. And there is a lot of action in this film. I don't want to spoil anything, but I will go through pretty much what is already known via the internet and whatnot. Now, the movie opens up to around, I'm thinking 15 to 20 minutes of pure action, okay? I was on an adrenaline kick. It was phenomenal. I loved the first part of the movie. I thought they did a fantastic job. And there's a surprise character that appears in the beginning that you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. But anyway, the beginning of the movie was very good. Very action-packed, full of adrenaline. I loved that. I guess you would say the second act of the film, it slows down a little bit, but I never thought, okay, this is too boring or this is going too slow, because throughout the whole second act of the film, there's these little bits of action kind of thrown in. The third act of the film, that's when they go all out and crazy action again, and it's phenomenal. The plot of this movie is that the Expendables are sent on a mission by Mr. Church, played by Bruce Willis, to take care of something which should be a walk in the park. But what ends up happening is one of the Expendables is killed, and the thing that they were going to get, which was supposed to be a walk in the park, ended up being some locational device to find some plutonium, which is a big deal. So that's after the Expendable is killed. Barney Ross, Sylvester Stallone, he says, we're going to find this guy and get revenge, for our fallen comrade. And that's pretty much the plot of the movie. The first Expendables didn't have a very big plot. This movie is no exception. But this is supposed to be a throwback to the 80s action movies. That's the whole point of the Expendables and the Expendables 2. Go watch Commando. That movie has barely any plot. It's, oh, he's got to rescue his daughter. But who cares? It was an awesome, entertaining action film, and that's what Sylvester Stallone is going for with these Expendables movies. Now, should there be some kind of plot? Yeah, I'm not going to get angry that people are like, well, the plot was kind of thin. It was. It was a thin plot, but I didn't care, because that's not the point of the movie. The point is to go in, have an 80s cheesy kind of action movie throwback, and that's what happened. There is a lot of cheese in this movie, I have to say, but it was perfect. I thought the written word, I mean the script for the Expendables 2, was a lot better than the Expendables 1. Expendables 1, there are a few lines when they are spoken, I kind of cringe. I was like, okay, that didn't flow very well. Offhand, I can't think of any lines in the second movie where I thought that same thing. In fact, the lines in this movie were really well delivered by everyone. Randy Couture in the first movie, I didn't care for his character. I thought every time he acted, he didn't do a very good job. This movie he did fine. There was nobody that I was like, okay, that was bad acting. I thought everyone did phenomenal. Okay, so I'd like to go through the characters. Of course, Sylvester Stallone plays Barney Ross, and he's kind of a more darker Barney than in the first movie. I mean, the fact that they have one of their own killed, I mean, he gets kind of dark. But Stallone, as always, did a great job. Now, if you remember the first movie, Jason Statham and Sly had a lot of buddy-buddy stuff going on between the two of them, like camaraderie, and it's the same in this movie. I mean, they did very good job back and forth between those two guys. Now, also in the first movie, I would say Stallone and Jason Statham had the most screen time of all the Expendables. Well, in this movie, Sly definitely has the most screen time, but I would say Jason Statham and Dolph Lundgren, who plays Gunner, had about the same amount of screen time, which I liked because in the first Expendables, for me, Dolph Lundgren, he was one of the best actors in that film. I thought he did the best job, one of the best jobs of his role in that film. And I was really hoping he would expand on that in this movie, and he did. Dolph Lundgren has, like I said, in my opinion, the second most amount of screen time tied with Jason Statham. And he has a lot of funny dialogue in this movie. And they do throw back a lot of things to the first movie. So I would actually recommend watching the first movie again before seeing the second film. So yeah, Jason Statham and Dolph Lundgren, awesome. They did a great job in this film. Now, Jet Li, if you remember in the first film, a lot of people thought he was underused, and I kind of agree with that. Well, hopefully you're not a huge Jet Li fan because he's only in this movie for a short period of time, and hopefully this isn't giving too much away, but he's in the beginning of the movie, and that's it. Is he the one to die? I don't know. I can't tell you. When Jet Li is in this movie, Expendables 2, he steals the show. They give him this awesome fight between a bunch of guys in this like kitchen area, and it's awesome. I mean, they really gave Jet Li time to shine, which I really liked. But again, like I said, he does not have very much screen time, maybe less than 10 minutes, I would say. The other Expendables, we have Toll Road and Hail Caesar, played by Randy Couture and Terry Crews. These guys kind of take a backseat like they did in Expendables 1, but they did awesome. They definitely have more screen time, and they have more lines. Not as much as the other guys that I mentioned, but they're funny. I mean, the lines were great, and Couture did a great job, and Terry Crews, who I've always liked, he did a great job too. And they have some really funny lines in this movie, and they worked really well together, so I was happy with them. So pretty much, yeah, the whole Expendables, the whole team did an awesome job. The newcomer is Liam Hemsworth, and he plays a sniper, a young guy on the team, and he did a good job too. I know a lot of people were saying negative things about Liam Hemsworth, oh, what's he done? Why is he in this film? Well, you know what? Until you see it, it's really not fair to judge. And I thought he did a fine job. I had no problems with him. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about three quick characters in this movie, which is Mr. Church, played by Bruce Willis, and Trench, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. They have a lot more screen time than the first movie for sure. I would say they probably have maybe 20 minutes of screen time each. But they were great in this movie, and I have to mention this. I mean, in the 80s and 90s, no one would have ever expected Stallone, Willis, and Schwarzenegger to be in a movie together. And they were in this movie. I mean, it's kind of a dream come true, and they did awesome. I liked all their scenes, and you've already seen the shot in the commercials where it's like the whole team standing there in front of a helicopter shooting out. And I mean, to have Stallone, Schwarzenegger, and Bruce Willis standing next to each other firing weapons, how cool is that? For them to be standing there doing that is awesome. So they did a good job. Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis, definitely good. And another one, a lot of people are happy he's in this, is Chuck Norris. I've never been, I know Chuck Norris, I've seen a few of his movies, and I watched Walker, Texas Ranger, but he has even probably the same amount, if not less time than Jet Li. He's not in it a lot, so don't go in expecting a ton of Chuck Norris. But I will say, when Chuck Norris was on screen, it was great. He's got a lot of good lines, and there's always those Chuck Norris lines you see online, like, oh, Chuck Norris killed a polar bear, or all those crazy Chuck Norris lines. They actually put one in the movie, and that's what I liked about this movie. Stallone deliberately put in some of these lines where you just like, it's a homage to a throwback to some of their old lines. And I will tell you that there are a lot of lines from other Stallone, Norris, Schwarzenegger, and Bruce Willis movies, and that they do say him. So it was pretty cool. Now, there's also a newcomer, and I forget what her actress's name is, I'm sorry, but she's in a lot of the movie too, and she's a person that, she works for Mr. Church, Bruce Willis, and she is sent to tag along with the Expendables to make sure, everything's running smoothly. She did a good job. I was very happy with her role. She's got some action scenes, so I had no problem with her too. I mean, excellent. Okay, so now I gotta talk about the two villains, being Jean-Claude Van Damme and Scott Adkins. Now, I'm going to start with Scott Adkins, who I'm not really familiar with, but I know he's very popular as far as doing his own stunts in karate and whatnot. He was great in this movie. Scott Adkins, you really did not like him in this movie. He had a definitely omniscient presence about him. Omniscient? I don't know. Anyway, he did a good job, Scott Adkins. I liked him. And Jean-Claude Van Damme. Now, he did excellent as the villain. He's very rarely played a villain. He's played a villain twice. No Retreat, No Surrender, and Double Impact. I think that's it. And he did a very good job. I mean, when he delivered his lines, you could tell he was really trying to put his best effort into acting as the bad guy. And I thought he pulled it off very well. Let me just talk about a few... There's only a couple things I thought could have improved in this movie. And one being Jean-Claude Van Damme's screen time. He was sorely underused, in my opinion, for this movie. He has one fight with Sylvester Stallone as far as hand-to-hand combat goes, and that's it. So you only get to see him fight one time. The times that you do see him when he's acting, he did so good. I was just wanting more. I'm like, I want more of this guy, because he did a really good job. The Expendables, the first movie, had like a director's cut. I don't know if they're going to do that with the second movie. Maybe there's more scenes with him that they'll add on later, but sorely underused. That was my biggest complaint for the whole movie. I'm like, he did such a good job. I really wish they would have given him more to do, and especially had more than one fight scene. My only other complaint is, again, this relates to the Van Damme fight scene. A lot of people thought it was too short, the fight. If you look online, everyone thought the fight was too short between Stallone and Van Damme. That is not my complaint. My complaint is that the fight was too one-sided. I'm not going to say which character. The fight was, I thought, very one-sided. They both guys get hits in, but one of the guys really gets a lot more hits in. And I felt that the fight wasn't equal. It wasn't like, okay, we have these two badasses that are equal and they're going to have a big fight. It did not feel that way. It felt that both these guys are both badasses, and one of them just almost kicks the other one's ass. And I had a problem with that when I saw the movie. So those are my two problems with the movie. Other than that, what I loved about the movie was I loved the humor. I thought it fit well. I loved the action. They used practical effects with CGI effects, and they all looked good. That was all great. And all the acting was phenomenal. It was a great movie. So yes, I liked The Expendables 2 better than the first film. I guess I would give Expendables 2 probably an 8.75. So not quite a 9, but close. So I highly recommend you guys go watch The Expendables 2. Check it out in the theater, because you're going to lose something if you just wait for it to come out on DVD Blu-ray. On the big screen, seeing these epic action scenes is definitely worth it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this review of The Expendables 2, directed by Simon West, and we will catch you later.